I couldn't figure out what to talk about today because I knew you all were interested more in lunch. And it smells yummy back there, so that's a good plan. Actually, I was thinking of Yogi Berra and a quote, and it's that the future ain't what it used to be. I know. And I was thinking about relevant, being relevant. And at every stage of life, we look for relevancy in who we are, our age, what we look like, what we're doing, our talents, our skills. And one of the things that occurs, and I know that not everybody in this room is of my age, but one thing that kind of creeps up with age is a feeling of, am I relevant now? So with Yogi Berra's quote about the future, as I drove in here, I lived in Castleberry, I lived in Fern Park, I lived in Oviedo, and that was from 1970 to 1975. And I moved downtown near Colonial Drive and Fern Creek. Thank you so much for that support. I needed that this morning. Anyway, and I noticed that when I drive in, I kind of look for a landmark to help me to make sure I'm on the right road. And I know that taking 1792 north, that a few times I ended up over on the East Coast. I don't have a GPS in this car, and so I have to use this sensing or just hope. So I don't know about you, but life keeps altering. We've had storms, we've had adventures. In our community, we still have a lot of yard debris. There was a tree that came down not far from my house, right across the street. Our streets are very narrow. And as I looked out Thursday of Hurricane Ian, this big, it was part of a tree, was meandering closer and closer to my front door. I had a discussion with it through the jalousie door that I didn't really want it in my living room. Could it stay out there for now? And an incredible thing happened while that was going on. I went back in the living room. I tried to pretend that I could not hear all the wind whipping through all of my windows in my house because it's uninsulated. It was built years before some of you were born. And the amazing thing of it was I suddenly heard a chainsaw. And, you know, sometimes those of us who have been around spiritualism, by the way, I've been a medium professionally for 45 years and taught for 50. So you need to change your beginning statement about me because I finally got a name tag. I finally got a name tag in our community, and it says Reverend Diane Davis, medium teacher, minister, and I thought, good, now I know who I am. Okay, so I hear this chainsaw, and I put on a hat and my rain jacket, and I walked out to see what was going on, because it was still raining, the wind was still blowing, and there's this chainsaw, and I can hear it, and I have a lot of difficulty hearing. So this was a masterpiece moment, you know, the kind when you think maybe Spirit's doing something and you're waiting for a chair to move to the other side of the room and it doesn't happen. Oh, never mind. Anyway, so I walked outside, and there's a man, and he's got a chainsaw, and he's going after the branch of the tree that looks like it wants to come into my living room. And I thought, wow. And I walked up to him and I said, hi, I'm Diane, who are you? and his name is Henry, and that's all I know. And he said, this is what I've done for a living. And I said, oh, well, in hurricanes? I'm just curious. And anyway, and he moved some of the branches so I could at least get out of the driveway if I needed to with my car, which I thought was pretty wonderful. I tried to give him a little money the day afterward, when I saw him, he wouldn't take it. I graciously thanked him and said, you gave a really beautiful gift on a day that was kind of rugged and intense for a lot of us. So there was this kindness, and there was a relevancy that he provided with his own skill and his own capability. In our lives, what happens with our futures, and what happens so often is we try to make fit what occurred and what worked 2, 3, 4, 6 years ago, maybe 10. And we try to take it into today, and sometimes that is okay, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. And the reason that it doesn't work doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just that life keeps changing. I'm a typewriter refugee held hostage by electronics. I just want you to know, and I mean that. And so when all of these things, and somebody will say, well, Diane, if you just put an app on your phone, and I go, and one thing to know is I carry a cell phone for emergencies, and you turn it on, and it's one for older people. She said gray hair. And so it takes forever to boot. I got the lingo. Anyway, and so then I'm on the cell phone, and it takes forever. So there are apps on the phone that people have put there. Some of you probably do this for your loved ones or friends or co-workers, and I would just say that's great. But I've got a lot of apps on my phone. I haven't a clue what they are. Because I don't turn the cell phone on regularly. And that's part of the future. And that's part of the future because everywhere I go, people are staring at a screen. Everywhere I go, people aren't talking to each other. They're looking at information on a phone. I'm not knocking it, please know. But what I am knocking is the fact that we don't really communicate well with each other anymore, do we? And also, one thing I notice is a genuine mutual regard and respect for each other, for another human being sitting near you. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think about this, but when somebody has a speaker of their cell phone on, and they're sitting right here, and I'm over here, and maybe I'm eating breakfast or lunch or something, and I'm listening to a conversation, because it's people I do not know, but I'm involved, aren't I? So you have a wonderful energy. It's called the spirit of you. And the spirit of us works best at play. It works least under obligation. So every time I turn the cell phone on and I think I'm going to learn just a little more, somebody hands me something else that's electronic. Or I get some little message on the computer that says your yada 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 is full. I have no clue what the yada yada is. So I call friends, and luckily I have friends, and they teach computer, and I can ask them, what does that mean? Relevancy in your life has a lot to do with your talents, your skills, who you are, but it's not just how you look, and it's not just who you please, and it's not just the money you make. It's about what's in here. The spirit of us works best at play because in play we are levitated. There's a law of levitation and there's a law of gravitation. When you feel down and out, when you feel discouraged, when you feel hopeless, when you feel helpless, those pull down that energy of you, don't they? And if you don't feel it coming down like I'm showing you, you may feel it within you because it may feel heavier, more difficult, turbulent, confusing, disoriented many times. When you're feeling the levity of life, it doesn't mean you're laughing at everybody. It means you're laughing at life because if you don't laugh at life, life laughs at you. It really does. Have you ever noticed? And it doesn't do it out of punishment, and it doesn't do it out of disregard, and it doesn't disrespect all the humans who are treading on the earth. Have you ever thought about the fact that the earth wants you to walk on it? That the gravity is there for a reason? That there is a commingling of your energy and the energy of the earth, and the two of them are making a third energy called the laws of the universe in that moment. And that gave me a little bit of a charge this morning. It was a big charge that I'd be wise and universal wisdom. Is that how you use the words? Anyway, and as I sat back here, I wanted to kind of cross my eyes and go, really? But what I want to tell you is this. All of you have within you the infinite. And that infinite has not left you. It never leaves you. It doesn't disregard you. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't turned it away. You haven't discounted it. If you had been focused in this direction, wanting other things in your life and not paying attention to it, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, shouldn't be having this, that, and the other success or opportunities. What that means is you're just focused in this direction. You will create in the direction you're looking, and it's not just with your physical sight, it's with your inner vision. And when you look with your inner vision towards something, have you ever noticed that when you really desire something, when you really have that kinetic feeling within you toward it, it just magically happens? Well, that's purpose and intention. And when you have that toward anything, it creates much bigger than you ever dreamed. It creates the healing that you commented about this morning, because you can feel it abundantly. It doesn't mean it comes from just that person or just that person. It's a combination, because that's what we are here doing on earth. We are combining the energies of each of us. And even if it's a person that goes up on a mountaintop and wants to live a solitary life by themselves, they're still communicating and still commingling with the energies of life. And you're going to do that until your last breath. And the amazing thing is that the future isn't what it used to be. The things that I grew up with thinking my life would hold and have, well, they didn't happen. Not in the order that they were supposed to. And then there was a lot of screw-ups. You know screw-ups? I'm sure none of you ever did a screw-up in your life, but I did. Or a better way to put it is a stumbling, confusion. And the interesting thing about that is the spirit of us works best at play. When you can begin to discover some of those things that you've done in the past, said in the past, where you've been, who you've known, those relationships you've had that may have not worked out or fulfilled themselves or gone further, doesn't mean that you've ever done it wrong. It just means you discovered another way. And the beauty of that is the future is not what it used to be. But there's always going to be another way for anything. There's always going to be more than one choice. There's more than one choice with what I say right now. There's more than one choice of how you're going to drive home. There's more than one choice of what you're going to eat for lunch, I think. Isn't there more than one? Okay, just checking on that. But there's always more than one choice. The empowerment of that is the fact that you're the person in charge of the choice. You have been ever since you kind of grew up a little bit. And yet, we often give our choices to other people to make because we think that they might do a better job, or that they know more, or somehow they've got better credentials, life experiences to make it happen in a much more beneficial capacity. Not necessarily. If you've ever felt inspired, and everybody in this room is intuitive, You're intuitive to some degree, some more developed than others, but that would be like refining a muscle or refining a talent, refining a capability. And when we do that, this exciting thing happens, is that quite often we'll have hunches, gut feelings, those psychic or intuitive moments when we just go, aha. So I was in the bookstore here this morning, and I turned to look at a shelf, and there was a little container there. This is not a big deal. There was a little container there, and I turned and said, how much do you want for this? Because at that moment, I could visualize it on my bathroom counter. You do this. You do this. I'm not special in that. We do this where we can feel something and we can feel ignited by it. The relevancy is that if you're a hoarder, then you do this probably daily. There was a sweet woman in CVS this morning, and I noticed her picking up a lot of those little bottles they have in that one section for like travel containers of deodorant and shampoo and shaving cream and blah, blah, blah. She put her cart in the middle of the aisle, so I couldn't really move around her. She reached over and she grabbed 3 bottles of the same thing. And I looked right at her and I went, wonder where she's going to put those. Now, that's my curiosity, and it's really none of my business. So how much during your day do you spend energy that isn't really yours to spend or needed to spend because of thinking of things or projecting things that you don't really need to? The future is about change. Our earth is changing, our environment is changing. Orlando has changed a huge amount since I lived in it. And it's going to continue to grow and expand and change. And when they put up a hotel 20 feet from my house, we're going to have big change. But we're all enjoying being here. And so it's the grumbling that I can do about change, and yet at the same time there's part of the change that I can find that I benefit from and I gain from. All those apps on my phone, they've been significant. All those people that have wanted to assist me by putting them there, no malicious intent, just a desire to assist. You do that for people constantly. Sometimes it's welcome and sometimes you force it. Doesn't really matter as long as you keep your friends, just saying. But the spirit of us works best at play. And the future is something that all of us have. And the future is something that all of us want. All of you sitting here today want tomorrow to happen, don't you? You're wanting to feel that there's a tomorrow. You're wanting to feel that you'll walk into it no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're doing, no matter how life is flowing for you or not, you still want tomorrow, don't you? Could I get a nod somewhere? I wanted to make sure you're awake. And because we want tomorrow, we're often feeling that urgency, and we're often feeling that drive toward it. And yet one of the things that can impede us, slow us down, interfere, is the fact that we want to prescribe what tomorrow's going to look like. You can only know so much, and then you're going to walk right into it with the energies that are you, and you're going to commingle with the energies of other people, places, ideas, opportunities. And it's just like the artist painting the canvas. They start with it blank and fill it in. And you're going to do that with tomorrow. You're going to do that with this afternoon. And relevance, of course you have relevance, you're here. You're not a mistake, and when I say here, I mean on this earth. And you're not a mistake, and you never have been. You've always had significance, always had importance. And the divine, we talk about all these things, we name them off. We talk about the universe, we talk about the infinite, we talk about God, we talk about all these things, but they're always out here. And I'm here to tell you, put them in. Acknowledge them in here because they've always been here with you and in you and of you, and you is it. And when you can start to do that, that's when you feel that power. That's when you feel the energy because it's not separate. And that's when I can stand up here and talk, and I haven't a clue what I'm going to say sometimes, but I know there's at least one person out here who can use some words of encouragement, who can use some words of just play and enjoy life. Not play at it irresponsibly and not think that you own the place all the time, because we get those too. But to allow yourself to move forward into your own opportunities, because the future is going to be different. And it's not going to be the same, but we can take those differences and use them to ignite us. We can use them for a sense of inner passion, and we can use them for all the creativity. Do you realize how many people are creating constantly because other things have been taken away? Other people. And you may be a part of that. And that's pretty wonderful. And that creativity that is within you and that creativity that is available, it's going to stay available. Grab it. Move with it. Enjoy it. That's your relevancy. And that allows you to feel that no matter what, there is going to be a tomorrow. Because the future ain't what it used to be, but that's not bad. And again, it's not a punishment, it's just different.